What's up, everybody? This is Wes Harrison along with Tommy Lindstrom here from livelockshoe.com. Just relaunched the site today. Pretty excited about it. You guys go over there and check it out. Check us out on the Book It Sports app. We've been gone for a couple weeks since the U.S. Open. Back here to talk some NFL divisional breakdowns, AFC North, NFC North. What's going on, bro?
What's up?
So Tommy had some technical issues again today. So
No, I didn't.
He's got his big old recliner, man. He's ready to rock and roll.
No, we're in good shape. I've got 2 cell phones now, so we're just working with that.
Yep. So you said both are iPhones, though?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's easy enough. Did they at least give you a 12 at the new job? So you got a new job, right?
I did, yeah. So that's why I was all messed up with the spreadsheet, because I don't have access to just like a laptop that I always had on the go, which was my office computer. And in my office computer, the place I worked for, it was a family-owned business, so it was they didn't give a shit what we did, essentially. So I could do whatever I wanted on those computers, looked up whatever I wanted on those computers, and I was able to quickly do all of our research, all of our tracking, all of those things right there. But now that I'm in a new place and it's corporate, I don't want to just be using those work computers for bullshit. So what's that?
You gotta behave.
Say that again.
So you got to behave, and you can't actually have fun at work.
I guess on their shit, that is. I'll behave with their. I'm not going to behave, but I just won't do the shit on what they own.
After you've been there for a while, maybe you can start using their shit.
I don't know. I think after you've been there for a while, like the more likely they are to just get rid of your ass, because they can hire somebody like me now to do it cheaper, who's younger.
It's true. Very true.
Keep an eye out for that. So I'm about to do all the dumb shit now, just because they're gonna be like, all right, well, we got to put up with this crap.
Be like me, man. Just work for yourself. You don't have to worry about that shit. Not everybody's that lucky.
No, that's fair. I'm about to just try to get rid.
Got my Bengals gear on. You got your shitty Eagles stuff on. We're not even talking about the Eagles today, and you're wearing Eagles shit.
I just wear what I happen to be wearing. I was actually about to be wearing an Atlanta Falcons Mike Vick jersey, but I was like, no, I'm not going to wear this. Not yet.
Nah, yeah. We'll wait till that goes. So we're going to break down the NFC North first, go into the AFC North. I've been talking around on Book It a lot about doing like this game plan thing. It's going to help people with fantasy drafts, things like that. Hoping to have it done here in a couple weeks. I know some people already drafted. I have friends that are drafted. Do you have any leagues that are drafted?
No, that's ridiculous. We talked about that before. You can't draft until at least after week 3 of the preseason. But I don't know how many weeks they're doing this year in the I think they're only doing 3, so maybe it's after week 2. I don't know how that's changing.
And for me, it's always been that Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's always when we draft. We get together, have a big party, draft on Sunday. And then we just go from there. That's been like a staple for the last, I don't know how many years. My brother kind of fucked that up because he's actually getting married on Memorial Day weekend. So now I'm like, shit. And he's like, when are we going to draft? I was like, same time I'm always going to be on my honeymoon. I'm like, take like an hour or two to draft.
Yeah, they'll have Wi-Fi wherever he's at, I'm sure. He can just go ahead and hop on his phone and do it.
Yeah, he'll survive.
Do you guys always do the drafts in person, or do you just do them on your phones?
We usually do them in person, and then like I'm the commissioner, so I have the computer and I'll put all the picks in. Some people just hop on their phone while we're there and they do it. And then, some people don't come, so they do it from their phone. I mean, we do it online, but we all do it.
Yeah. That's the same thing.
If they want to do it on their phone, I can just do it for them, or they can do it there or whatever, So
that's what we do. So,
yeah, I'm so excited, man. I'm pretty much fucking over baseball. That guy was up. I don't know if you saw my post yesterday, but I was up over 30 units like 4 weeks ago in baseball.
Yeah.
And I am now down 0.6 units.
Damn.
In 4 weeks.
That's an impressive little losing streak there.
Bro, it's just been absolutely fucking wild, man. It's like the Reds game yesterday. They've been a top team with runners on base. They had the bases loaded 3 times, didn't get shit.
So it's like team outright you're losing on, not props, things such as that?
Dude, I can't anything. The one thing I have had a little bit more success on lately is team totals, but that's that's about it. I can't seem to hit totals, and not just me, man.
There's 162 games. I don't know how people can project and predict it. I don't even know why people try. Honestly, I really don't know why you guys even try.
So I was talking to my boy Winterwire today. We were going back and forth, and we were doing like a home run prop per day. We hit a couple of them this week, and he messaged me today like, "Hey, who you want to go with today?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm retired." And he's like, "Why?"
It's exhausting.
I was like, I just need a breather. I'm getting my ass kicked, and we were talking about, just like you said, there's 100-something games, 162 games. I think a lot of it kind of comes down to this All-Star break can't come soon enough for a lot of them. And they need to get in there, they need to recoup, they need to rest, get their minds right and shit like that. Because there was a day, I don't even know if you know, but last week, every single underdog won on the slate. That is fucking outrageous. Like, I've never seen anything like that. So,
that's
I mean, imagine through like a 12-team parlay with every dog, you'd fucking be able to probably quit your job right now.
Yeah, even with like $5 on, $2 on.
Yeah, you probably would have won five.
The crackheads won big.
Yeah, man, that shit was fucking wild. So, I've been in kind of in football mode for the last couple of weeks, and then really got into it this week just because I pretty much had enough of baseball for at least a week or two after the All-Star break. Maybe see if things start making more sense and get back into it. So,
I feel like we're in a good place with golf right now. Again.
Yeah, not bad. John Deere's looking pretty good so far. You want to talk about that for a minute? I know you're dying to.
I mean, not really. Last week was down. We did good at the Travelers. I would rather have talked about that. But Rocket Mortgage was down a little bit. John Deere's looking good. I'm glad I threw in the little nugget. I said, everybody that we're playing with those top 20s, go ahead and sprinkle a little, even 0.1 of $10, $5, whatever you want, on those guys to win outright too. And one of those guys was Munoz. One of those guys was Vegas. One of those guys was, who else do we have? There's a couple. I think there's 3 right there in the top 10. And then Streelman's taking the gas pipe. Siwoo Kim withdrew. I can't remember who we have right there. I'll look at it real quick. But either way, we got a couple guys right there in the mix. So I'm glad we have that top 20 that's looking real solid. But also we've got guys in the mix that could win. We've got Munoz. We've got Vegas. Henley. Champ. Varner. All right there.
You think I remember that? I just put it in the spreadsheet like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah, really, anybody that's at -7 and above, you're within 5 shots. So that's Seamus Power, Sung Jae Im, Harold Varner, Cameron Champ, Russell Henley, Jonathan Vegas, and Sebastian Munoz. Luke List isn't going to win the golf tournament, just to let everybody know that.
So we're in good shape. We got it. Next week, we got British Open, right?
Yeah, which we might just make this easy on everybody and say, don't save all 16, 17, whatever units we're going to bet, and just put it all on John Rahm, because that guy's not losing anything anytime soon.
I haven't really dove into that one yet.
He's about to run away with the Scottish Open right now.
I mean, you get that wind and all that other kind of shit, that makes a big difference. So
he's about to win the Scottish Open.
Think so?
Yeah. He went 5 under, 6 under. He's just out of his mind right now.
I mean, I don't. It wouldn't shock me at all, but you got to have some other action in there.
He's going to do it. Matt Fitzpatrick could win this weekend too. He's at 11 under.
All righty. So yeah, like I said when we first hopped on here, we had a website, a while ago, and I kind of took it down, revamped it a little bit, relaunched it today. So we're still working on our fantasy rankings. Our quarterback ones are up. For anybody that wants to go check that out, livelocksu.com. And then our tracking spreadsheet has been put up. We still got to update the last 2 weeks of golf because
I don't want to talk about that.
Because I'll just say my buddy here is not extremely technologically advanced. We'll just leave it at that. So we just got to add that in, but everything else is good. It's broken down. I'm also going to add a blank one. That way for you guys that do bet, you can download a blank template, put your stuff in, and, track your own stuff and your own plays and know where your strengths are at and where your weaknesses are at.
It's very easy.
Yeah, it's easy to put in. pretty automated, breaks everything down. It's easy to put in when you actually have Excel. There.
We're not talking about that.
You started it.
That's fair.
So, but that's on there. We're going to get in big into DFS. So I know Tommy and I are real big into football mode. We're ready to go. How many days we got to take off?
I don't know, like 63.
Under 90.
No, I'm just kidding. It's like 58, 57. I don't know. It's not a lot though. It's league manager season is what it is. It's league managers. Hey, who's going to be in the league? Sending out invites. It's big time league manager season right now.
61 days, 3 hours, and 48 minutes.
So that means fantasy drafts are inside 50 days.
Oh yeah. Like I said, there's people right now for whatever reason. Speaking of which, we got the Book It Sports League going on. Got to be a Book It member. We have 3 spots, I think, maybe 4. Can't recall. So I know Winterwire's in it. You and I are in it. Trent's in it. We got Huncho's in it. I mean, we got quite a bit of, good star power there, if you will, in there. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. Kind of a higher stakes league too, which I've been wanting to do for a long time because.
Which is really cool that we're going to be just like sitting here giving out fantasy tips, advice, talking about exactly what we want to do in fantasy drafts, and then we're playing in a fantasy draft.
And that's one thing too. Like, I hope nobody in my league's actually watching. Well, they probably aren't because, they don't. They're not going to watch me anyway. But so I'm like always thinking, man, I hope the people that like I'm drafting against aren't going to watch my shit and follow my shit because I want to get out of like a draft guide and you take all my dudes, right? I'm going to be in like the 4th round going after somebody and somebody swoops up my sleeper and I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Talk about it. Fuck you. But, whatever. I guess it comes with the territory. So, yeah, we can get into that. We're going to be doing a lot of DFS stuff. Got our betting tracker up. Got to have fantasy rankings for everything. We got quarterbacks up now. We're probably need to work on running backs this week and receivers and tight ends and all that kind of stuff. Get those up within the next week or 2. And then I think, I'm going to personally be doing some, and you have access to it. You can do it too, especially for your golf stuff. But if you can figure it out, some blogging and things like that. So every time we do a film room, I'm going to post what we're talking about. And, that way everybody's prepared and going into it. Try to kind of keep everybody informed a little bit and do a little bit of venting. And, if I get crushed in MLB, whenever I decide to come out of my temporary retirement here, might vent on there too. So who knows? Never know what you're going to get. Unfiltered, uncensored, just on there ready to rock and roll and have some fun.
That's good. These 2 divisions, specifically the AFC North, I would say, are going to be 2 big DFS divisions and prop divisions, and I'll get into that a little bit future and what I mean by that. But I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, we need to start talking about football. Let's do a couple of divisions a week. Knock it all in like four shows. And then we got our golf show next Wednesday. So I was like, okay, let's just do, north and north on each, make it easy. Mm-hmm. North happens to be mine. And then the NFC North's extremely intriguing in a lot of different spots as well. So I figured that would be fun to talk about. So, I mean, we can go ahead and hop right into it. Let's hop right into the NFC North. And we'll start talking about the Vikings here. All right, so Minnesota comes in. We got a strength of schedule. They have the 5th hard. What's really weird too? So I'm putting all these stats together and stuff for today. Literally every team that we're talking about today has a top 10 strength of schedule.
I saw that.
That is absolutely wild. So we'll start Minnesota. They got the 5th hardest schedule. And actually, it'd probably be a good idea, I guess, to kind of run down these schedules as well while we're kind of talking about it.
It makes sense why like the divisions are lumped together in the sense of like you're either all going to have fairly difficult or fairly easy schedules because there's only 2 separating teams from everybody else, if that makes sense. So every team in your division plays your division twice, so everybody gets those teams twice, and then you play the opposite conference, the same division as your division. And there's just two miscellaneous teams depending on how you finished the previous year, and that's what kind of really sets teams over the edge with their strength of schedule. That's why the Steelers have the number one hardest schedule, because they finished first in their division last year.
Yeah, and there's when I was going through, there's quite a bit of good stats and all, interesting futures bets we're going to touch on and hit on. Yeah, so we'll hop right into the Vikings. Like I said, fifth hardest strength of schedule, coming off of a 7-9 season last year. Didn't make the playoffs. Disappointing year, kind of all around, kind of an average passing offense. One of the things I found interesting, I was looking through, because one of the big questions with him is, how far is Cousins going to take him? How's Cook going to go? Can he stay healthy? And then how far is Cousins going to take him with Jefferson and Thielen, right? So I'm like looking through Pro Football Focus, one of my favorite sites I love. It kind of takes all the bullshit out of everything and kind of grades stats. Like, one of the things I always hated was somebody throws a pick that was tipped at the line or something like that. Like, yeah, he gets a pick, but it's kind of a bullshit pick. So that PFF kind of takes all that stuff out when they grade, which I like. But he actually graded 11th out of 38 quarterbacks last year, and then he graded 6th out of 36 in 2019. So above average. He's under contract through 2022, so he's got this year and next year, because he signed that 2-year extension, I believe, last year. So we got a number 5 strength of schedule. I'll just throw a few stats out here. They come in, they run the ball about 54% of the time. 46% of the time, which is 6th most in the league, which you would really expect with a guy like Dalvin Cook. So how far you think Cook's going to take him? We're going to see kind of a difference. You think they're going to throw the ball more, since Jefferson had that big, massive season and he's got to follow it up? Red Sox just hit a home run, by the way, a 3-runner.
You're ahead of me somehow. What the fuck?
Oh, my bad.
Vasquez thinks I'm seeing a 2-2 count. 2 outs, bottom of the 2 outs, bottom of the second, 2 on, 2 out,
Drilled.
2-2 count, and he goes, yo. Yeah. Oh, wow. He goes opposite field, too. That's kind of impressive.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, building off of what you said for the Vikings, I don't necessarily think you'll see too much of a change as far as their offensive philosophy. They were number 11 last year in the league in points per game. So what they were doing was somewhat working. They were kind of taking the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands. It felt like they would do whatever it took to not let him lose them the game. They were 26th in the league in passing attempts. That speaks exactly to that. They were number 8 in rushing attempts, 5 in rushing yards.
One thing there, too, is they've had Gary Kubiak kind of at the helm the last couple years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steps down. I think he's pretty much kind of retiring. His son Clint steps in. So you would think he's still going to have maybe kind of the same system. Yeah,
absolutely.
And the same, not necessarily plays, but the same system, the same scheme going into the season, and sticking with their guys, and running the football with Dalvin Cook, things like that.
And the Vikings were incredibly young on defense last year, and that's what their weakness was. I think there's a great opportunity with the Vikings in a couple of areas. One, it's betting their futures. So I really like their over on win total for the year. And I also like the value if you were to bet it right now and then to win the division at plus 260. You can sometimes get it at plus 275, especially if the Packers end up Aaron Rodgers-less. That's going to would be an insane value bet at that point. While even with Aaron Rodgers, they could still each team go 10-7, 11-6, whatever their records could be. It's all messed up now with the 17-game schedule. But I really like the Vikings over, and I think their defense, which was their weakness last year, is going to be a lot better this year. They were young. They're going to get better. I think they had 2 rookies starting in the secondary last year, and I think you're going to see a gigantic step forward for Jefferson. He had over 1,000 yards receiving last year.
How much better can he do?
What's
I
that?
mean, yeah, I don't know how much better he can do. He balled
I
out
was going to
last year.
say he had a huge year last year, but I think he'll be a top 5, 7, 6 receiver in the NFL. He's going to be a third or so round pick in fantasy drafts and get him.
Yeah. One thing we've got to mention too. I wanted to knock this out by each team we talked about. So kind of notable additions that the Vikings had. They added Bashad Breeland, corner, doesn't rank super high. Probably one of their, I guess, least effective signings. Good for depth. They added Dalvin Tomlinson on the D line there. He's actually
lost Kyle Rudolph.
Lost Riley Reef. I'm going to get to Kyle Rudolph in a second, though. Added Mackenzie Alexander, added Xavier Woods, and Patrick Peterson. Everybody got really excited over Patrick Peterson. He's almost 32 years old.
Yeah,
I'm not that hyped. I really don't think they made a lot of moves on defense to really help them out. This year, I mean, they had the draft and everything like that. But, I kind of look at it, but I do love Mike Zimmer. I think he's a great defensive mind, and he finds ways to make things happen. I think he'll have a little bit of a rebound year, but I don't expect a big rebound year. I think it'll be a good DFS team to attack going into the season, and they might actually have a pretty good year on defense. We'll have to see, but yeah, I mean, talking about their defense, they were actually last in the league by Pro Football Focus. With a pass rush grade of 59.3, which is absolutely freaking abysmal. 46.3 tackling, which is 26th. They had the 29th worst ranked run defense. Wow. And they couldn't get off the field on fourth down, giving up 71%.
Shocking that their pass rush could have been worse than the Raiders.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's pretty bad.
7 points a game. That's a lot.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
there's only one way to go on that side then, and it's up. So I do like the Vikings this year, specifically just with the one bet. They're over on their win total, which I believe is 8 flat, and maybe a little 9 flat.
Yeah.
Plus 110.
I mean, that's minus 125 right now. What I saw this morning, I
got a plus 110 on my book.
Do you? What are you using DraftKings? Yeah, I got that off of MGM. So, because now I'm basically sometimes just, if I'm in Indiana, I'll just kind of swoop in there and make my bets real quick, bounce out. If not, I'll just use my regular book here in Ohio.
That's crazy you're that close to Indiana.
Dude, I'm literally 40 minutes away from Indiana and Kentucky. I'm in the tri-state area there. So it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I like it.
Whoa. What'd you just say? The tri-state area?
That's what they call it. Yeah, tri-state.
No, the tri-state is Delaware, Jersey, and PA.
No, tri-states, Cincinnati, Indy.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's what they call it here, right?
That's what they call it here.
Huh?
That's what they call it here.
Well, maybe they probably call it any fucking state that's right within 3. Yeah, so the defense, like you said, nowhere to go but up. I do like the over 9, especially if the Rodgers thing's out. Honestly, with everything going on, I would, if I knew for sure Rodgers wasn't playing, I'd probably hammer that 9.
Well, it's an extra game, so hammer it either way.
Yeah, you get that extra game. So a 7 or a 9-8 season. Well, I guess you have to have a 10-7 season. And that's probably, I think, pretty realistic option for them.
They'll tie one.
Yeah, they came in with it. They probably will. They'll end up being like 9-6 and or 9.
Zimmer's conservative ass.
Leave Mikey boy alone, bro.
I don't really like him.
You don't like Mike Zimmer?
I think he's a great defensive coach, but I wouldn't want him as my head coach now.
I like Mike Zimmer. I wouldn't mind. I was actually.
Well, he was this Cincinnati legend, isn't he?
I mean, he was really good here. His defense was phenomenal when he was here. I actually, back in the day, I was like, just move Marvin to GM and bring Zimmer as a head coach, and I'd have been happy.
Oh, God, Marvin.
Don't start with Marvin, man. You can't win here with Mike Brown. We're not getting started on them right now. All right, so division champ, MGM's got plus 250, over 9. I like that. So that's probably going to be – so I think what we're going to do, too, after we're done, we'll write up official plays because there's some stuff here I'm not going to touch. We're going to give all the lines out, but there's some of them I ain't touching. But I do like the Vikings over 9. I'm going to write that down. So over 9 at minus 125 is what I got here. And I do like the division at plus 250. I think there's some good value there. Conference championships plus 2,500, Super Bowls plus 5,000. They're not going to get there. They don't have a shot at getting there. So I'm not going to waste my time. Offensively, like I think we said, I think they continue to run. One thing I thought was interesting is Dalvin Cook. I checked on it's one website called Fantasy Data, where you can kind of see what running backs, what type of boxes they're seeing, and things like that.
Right.
Dalvin Cook was seeing a stacked box on 31% of his carries, which is a fucking shit ton.
Right.
And I think
the predictability of running was probably incredibly high. First and third down, they're probably stacking those up.
So I mean that's high, but it's not like it's actually
first and second down.
So when and a lot of these are like no one cares about Lat Murray because you knew when he's in the game he was running. Snell, Harris, I don't count. Davis, I don't count. Gallman, I don't count. Cam Akers was interesting at 36. Gus Edwards, you're going to stack the box. Derek
Cam Akers this year.
Stack the box. So I thought Dalvin Cook. Stacking the box that much on when you have Thielen and Jefferson outsides, kind of asking for trouble if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Kirk Cousins. I don't think he's, he gets a lot of flack. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's not like a stud or anything, but he's a good game manager, and I think if you got some good talent around him, I think you can win. One guy I do really like this year going into it, I think is a sleeper, is Irv Smith at tight end. You like him?
I mean, I think there'll be opportunity in DFS or to grab his props, but like in our league that we're doing, nobody's drafting Irv Smith.
Well, I mean, it really depends where you get, man, because there's such a big fall off from like Travis Kelce to everybody else. You have to have someone that's kind of consistent. And I'm not saying like Irv Smith.
He's got to be like a 22nd or third ranked tight end.
Oh, I doubt he's that low.
Really?
I have him that low. I mean, when we do our tight end rankings, I don't know where I'll have him. I'd have to look, but I wouldn't have him that low. I'd probably have him 15 or better.
I'd have him ahead of whoever the hell the Bengals tight end is.
Oh, the Bengals don't really have a tight end.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, honestly, like looking at the teams we're talking about today, we were talking about some good ones today, but it's really Uzama's our starting tight end, so Sample's not even really kind of talked about. I do think Irv Smith has some. I'm not even going to include Kelce as a tight end one because he's ridiculous. So, but I do think Irv Smith kind of has some tight end one upside, maybe, because if you look at last year's number, there was like Kelce and everybody else. You had like Hawkinson and stuff. Most of them were inconsistent, right? So it's not going to take a lot to be a tight end one. You have to be a top 12 tight end, right? Yeah. So I don't think top 12 is out of the realm of possibility. We'll have to go back on that when I look at my rankings. So to talk about these players real quick, Cousins, I'd say, is a QB2, QB1 upside with matchups. Dalvin Cook, obviously, is an RB1. Thielen's a receiver one.
I'd be a top 3 pick.
Dalvin?
Yeah,
I'd say so. So anything you want to add on the Vikings?
No.
Cool. All right, going to the Bears. All right, I guess we can talk about the Bears now.
They're just nauseating.
They really are, man. And a lot of it for me is I don't like Nagy at all. But they're coming in here the third hardest strength of schedule, which they suck, so it kind of blew my mind. But they're coming off an 8-8 season.
It's a second place schedule, so they get Tampa Bay because of it.
Mm-hmm. Coming off of 8-8 season, third hardest schedule. They obviously Trubisky's on to other opportunities. They brought in Andy Dalton, signed Justin Fields. Brought in Damiere Byrd, re-signed Allen Robinson, added Desmond Trufant. That's really Elijah Wilkinson. Those are really Wilkinson's not even that good, really. But, I mean, He gives them a little bit of help there. Those are really kind of their big free agent additions. So kind of I guess the big question everybody's got is when is
Fields start?
When's Fields going to start, and when Dalton's going to start the season. I think that's pretty much common sense.
They don't have a tough schedule. They start off with a pretty easy schedule. They have the Bengals in there. They play the Lions pretty early too. But I don't think, like, unless Dalton's struggling, but they're still winning games. A lot of times when you're winning games, you don't take a guy out. But if Fields is the better guy at practice, it's kind of hard to not play him. So at some point he will be playing. I think their bye week is week 12. We'll see if they play him then. Darnell Mooney is the guy that they're saying could be a nice sleeper for the Bears. So I wouldn't mind keeping an eye on him, see if we look at him later. But again, it's more likely going to be a DFS value yes, absolutely, fantasy football. More of a DFS value, props value, but you can look Darnell Mooney. I'll be keeping my eye on him. Allen Robinson's still going to be another big target guy. He's still going to have 1,200 yards, probably double-digit touchdowns, especially with the extra game this year. But the biggest question, like you said, when's Fields going to get on the field? That's what everybody's going to be looking for.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think maybe after the bye week they might give him a look, and a lot of it depends how Andy's playing and things like that. I mean,
and the record.
Oh yeah. I mean, if they get out of it quick. See, my only issue with him, and obviously being an Ohio State fan, I do like Justin Fields, but I know we talked about, I think, our very first episode when they took him. He worries me because just what I saw in the Big Ten championship game, against Northwestern, he really scared me without receiver help. Luckily he's got Allen Robinson and Mooney, and he's also got Anthony Miller. But
I got a question for you real quick. Sorry to cut you off there on that. That's fair. Do you like Cole Kmet better than Irv Smith?
No.
Really? See, all right. I would rather have Kmet. I would have him ranked higher.
I don't think he's that good at all, to be honest with you.
Really?
He didn't do shit last year.
He wasn't. He showed little flashes like, okay, I can beat T.J. Hawkinson next year.
Bro, your connection is awful.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, we've got like a hurricane going on outside.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's that skank hurricane that was in Florida.
Nikki Fix with Najee. Okay.
Yeah, I could see that just because he's going to get 80% of the workload of the total offense, probably. Did he just go yardage again?
Yep.
Jesus.
God, he swung out of his shoes, too.
I'm back ahead of you now. Nikki Picks, who do you like? Who? Oh, yeah, he's a Steelers fan. That's right. I forgot about that. We'll get to them in a second. I want to talk about your boy, Big Ben.
Oh, God. So defensively, we know the Bears are going to be there. I mean, they need to protect the football a little bit more on offense, which I think is going to be kind of hard to do if Fields gets in or, even Dalton's prone to turnovers. I know.
They're boring. They're boring to watch. They're boring to talk about.
They are, man. I am not. I know he had a great finish to the year last year, but I am not a David Montgomery fan whatsoever. I think he stinks, which sucks because he's actually from my area. He's from Princeton, I believe, or Middle Tide. I think he's Princeton. So he's just 20, 30 minutes of school's down the street, but I'm just not a big fan of his. I don't think he's got that vision and that burst to kind of succeed at this level. I think he's going to struggle. Now, Cohen should be back. That'll help out a little bit with the passing game. But they run the ball. What was weird is they ran the ball 38% of the time. And they passed it with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles 62% of the time. Now, those stats can be a little skewed sometimes because obviously you're going to pass more when you're behind, things like that. But, man, that's a big dispersion for a team that just doesn't have a good quarterback. So my concern with Matt Nagy is you do throw Justin Fields in there. He's going to get teed off, for one, and he's going to make a lot of mistakes. And I think he's going to learn a lot of bad habits in his first year. I think he's basically going to waste his first year because I think Matt Nagy's going after this year anyway. I'm surprised he wasn't going after last year. But, 25th in pass blocking, 16th in run blocking. When you look at their stats here, man, from last year, nothing really stands out. They're over under 7.5. I would probably not going to be an official play, but I'd probably go under that. Playoffs, for them to make the playoffs is 175. For them not to is minus 225. To win the division is 325. I think they're getting too much love from Vegas, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to be that good.
I think that's just kind of out of respect because they made the playoffs somehow last year.
Maybe.
But they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I would lean under too, but the Bears stink. Let's move on.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was at. Real quick, just talk. Like I said, I don't like David Montgomery. I'd put him as like an RB2. Allen Robinson is a stud. I do think Mooney has a lot of upside. Anthony Miller's got a lot of upside. I'm out on Cole Kmet, and I'm pretty much out on the quarterback situation as well, just because I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. Now if they come in and bye week comes around and Fields is getting thrown in there and you need a backup or something, he might be worth a look depending on the matchup. But
I'll be looking if he plays for his rushing yards over. I like those other mobile quarterbacks. It's pretty easy to hit.
All right, so let's hop into the Detroit Lions, coming off a 5-11 season, the sixth, tied with the Bengals for the sixth hardest schedule in the league. There's really not much to say about it. This team just flat out sucks.
You got Dan Talica coming in, though.
Oh, good God. Dan Campbell's coming in. So I had to, when he got hired, I didn't know much about the dude. I had to check into him. And it's been so long. I knew a few things off my head, so I had to kind of dive into him. And it's really kind of hard to – you don't have a big sample size with him because he only coached 12 games, right? In those 12 games, he had Matt Moore as his quarterback. He threw about 60% of the time, which – he's probably still going to do that with Jared Goff, I would imagine. I don't know why. So obviously, Jared Goff got traded for Matt Stafford. That's the quarterback. There's really nothing exciting for me to say. Their defense is just flat out abysmal. They didn't really add any studs. They did add Dunbar. He's good. They got rid of – let Galladay walk, let Marvin Jones walk, added Rashad Perryman, added Tyrell Williams. Now they did get oh, my God, why do I always feel like I'm going to mispronounce his name? Sewell in the draft. So, good things there, but this team's – even if Dan Campbell's the answer and everything else, this team's 3-4 years away from doing anything, right?
Yeah, and I certainly don't think it's going to be with Jared Goff as their quarterback. But yeah, you're exactly right, especially with they were 13th in passing attempts, 8th in passing yards. That's all just Matt Stafford running around like crazy. So look to see their running game improve, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be because of DeAndre Swift. Their biggest pickup, I believe, was Jamal Williams, and I would mind seeing where you can kind of get him in fantasy drafts in the later rounds. I'm a big grab the second running back RB2 on teams, especially with the upside, and especially when there's question marks with the RB1 too. So that Jamal Williams is absolutely going to be a guy that I'm stashing, especially in deeper leagues. So look for that. Keep that one on the back of your radar. We'll talk about him later. But
I'm going to interject you there for a minute because I'm actually really annoyed about that.
Why?
I like DeAndre Smith a lot.
Oh, I don't.
No, you don't like him? I like him. Showed a lot of flashes last year, I thought.
I didn't think he did. I thought he stunk last year.
Well, he didn't get the ball much because Peterson, for some godforsaken reason, got the ball like 60%. It was ridiculous. I know for me, Swift, I saw a lot of a lot of promise in the passing game, and I saw some promise kind of outside the tackles.
He can catch, but for me with Swift, I watched them. I was obsessed with betting Georgia when he was there. I bet the futures on them. I would watch every freaking Georgia game, and unless everything was perfect.
Oh shit! Tommy just got kicked off. All right, so I am solo right now because Tommy's stuff, just for whatever reason, can't hold up. He's technologically illiterate, like I said. So I know he was dogging DeAndre Swift. I like DeAndre Swift. I think he did give us a little bit of a flash last year. But adding Jamal Williams, I think that is going to limit DeAndre's ceiling because he's not going to get all those catches that he probably would have. I mean, he did average I think 4.5 yards on the ground last year. So, I mean, there is upside there, but unless Jamal Williams goes down, a lot of those, especially in the PPR league, a lot of that upside's going away. So I need to figure out how to set this up. We're good. All right. Some stats to know, really, their pass blocking wasn't bad. PFF grade of 72, which was ninth best in the league. Then you add Sewell to that mix. So they did make some moves there, but they're still a solid 2-3 years away from doing anything if Dan Campbell's the guy. I don't know if he is or not. He only got 12 games to grade him off of. He might be, he might not be. There's not much you're really going to be able to find out about it as of right now. We'll have to see how he does going into this season. There he is. He's back on.
Yeah.
I didn't kick you out. You kicked yourself out, man. I'm sitting here trying to talk by myself and shit.
I don't know what happened. I was talking and I was just
big
gone.
face taking up the whole screen, right? Now you got booted out, but your connection's a lot better now.
I wonder what happened.
So I was just moving off the Lions. Golf, I'm not touching. Swift, I'm still taking with like an RB2 upside.
Oh, I know what I was saying.
Tyrell Williams and Perryman, I'm not taking. Hawkinson, though, I do like tight end one, I think, across the board. I mean, he's been a tight end one pretty much every year now. So
he's a top 5 fantasy tight end this year. And
yeah.
What I was saying about Swift was, for Swift to be successful, everything around him needs to be perfect. The blocking needs to be perfect. He doesn't really make too many people. He doesn't make too many plays himself on his own. And everything has to be really good around him, like I said. And with the Detroit Lions, that's just not happening. It's not going to happen this year either. So that's why I'm not the biggest Swift guy, to where Jamal Williams is a downhill runner. He's just going to go and he's going to make plays. He's not going to stutter. He's not going to bullshit. And he's more than likely going to be their goal line guy. He's going to get those short yardage carries and suck up some touchdowns. And the Phillies are getting the shit kicked out of them.
What score now? Oh, 7-3.
What's running on the corners?
I disagree with you on Swift. We'll have to have that conversation again down the road.
Put a note about that. I want to talk about that.
Over under is 5. I'm not touching that one, to be honest.
I'm taking that over.
You're taking the over?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to see them winning any games, to be honest with you.
Really? You think they're going to be that bad?
I think they're going to be bad. I don't
think they're that bad.
I think they're going to be right around. I mean, they're not going to be like 0-17. Do you think we see an 0-17 team this year? By the way,
no.
What if Watson doesn't play? That's possible, dude. If he doesn't play, it's possible.
That's so hard to do.
Oh, it's hard, but if he does not play, it is absolutely possible. I mean, I don't think that they could go, 5-12. They could go 6-11. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this new math with the extra game, right?
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. It's driving me crazy. But their defense is just so fucking bad. I don't think they're going to be really good at keeping up with anybody, and I don't think they're going to have the offense to keep up with people. They don't have anybody. They're going to have to throw it to Hawkinson. They're going to have to run the ball, and if they're going to throw it 63 or 60%, I think for them to win, they're going to have to like grind clocks out, try to keep offenses off the field, and I just don't see that really happening with their line right now. Maybe in a year or two they add another piece with Sewell, but I think they're going to be bad. The 5 for me is a no touch.
For our dynasty football player or fantasy football guys, Amon-Ra St. Brown, receiver out of USC. I think they drafted him in the 2nd or 3rd round. I like him in dynasty leagues, deep dynasty leagues. Look out for him. I think he could be a good mid to late 2nd round pick. So if we have any dynasty players in your rookie drafts, when I say 2nd round pick, I mean in your rookie draft, not in a regular draft.
Don't take him in your actual draft. All right, we can move off the Vikings because they're boring, or the Lions because they're boring anyway as well. All right, now to the I guess the most intriguing team as far as storylines and all that other shit going on, the Green Bay Packers. Okay, so I actually went through, and I know you and I have talked about this before. Aaron Rodgers is an absolute fucking drama queen.
He's good at golf.
He is good at golf, dude. I couldn't fucking believe that. Now, I didn't get to watch any of it till like the last hole or two.
He was awesome.
I was at football practice coaching, so I didn't get to really watch any of that. But man, I saw him make a couple big fucking putts. So the dude can putt,
and he can drive.
Man, that was interesting. So, like I said, I think he's a drama queen. I kind of went back and I was like Googling. I probably spent an hour on this. And I did it right before we got on. It was the last thing I was doing. So I was going through and looking at articles of issues with coaches, teammates, all that other kind of stuff. Random reports popping up that he's unhappy, all that other stuff. So here's kind of what I found. I'm gonna give you a quick little timeline. All right. So after Mike McCarthy got fired, it got reported like after the fact and right before they hired Matt LaFleur that Rodgers and him butted heads all the time because Rodgers was a control freak and at the line of scrimmage, and he wanted more say in the plays, and Rodgers came out after the fact, played it off, right? So then Matt LaFleur comes in. Him and Rodgers supposedly clash right away for the same exact reason. And then obviously the reports are shot down. So we got that report about 2 coaches. So that obviously tells me it's probably true. Then I watched some videos too. There was an article. I'll have to send it to you later. There was like an article of like different videos from social media, Twitter and shit, where he's like just screaming at Matt LaFleur after certain plays. I mean, just like, that happens in the NFL because they're all adults and they all talk. But I mean, dude, he's just coming off just like blistering his coach, which, a lot of coaches ain't going to take that shit. Then obviously we lose in the NFC Championship game because didn't he lose track of what down it was?
No, they didn't go for it. They were down 9 or something, and they kicked the field, or they were down like 8. They should have going for a 4th down, and they didn't. They kicked the field goal. Down like 5 or 6.
I can't picture in my head what it was. He did something on 3rd down to where I'm thinking to myself, why? I think he didn't like even make an attempt to get a 1st down or anything on 3rd down.
Brady was the one who forgot what down it was. That was against Chicago.
Yeah, Rodgers had a similar thing. I'm going to make a note of that with my Swift note here. NFC Championship game because I didn't have time to pull it up, but I do remember something happened in that game to where I was kind of like, it might have been he just had a couple attempts. Didn't he have a couple attempts like to one and couldn't get it in?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's what it was.
Or there was a play where he could have ran and he threw and didn't. I don't know.
That's what it was. He should have ran the ball. It was right there. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
He probably scored. So anyway, I remember coming all pissed about that. There's a report come out that he wanted to play football and host Jeopardy at the same time. Then obviously on draft day, we get this big thing that he wants out of Green Bay. And to me, when that happened, I was like, what is the fucking timing of this? Because you got this guy now that all of a sudden wants out of his team, and he just wants out. But it gets leaked on draft day. I think it was completely planned. He wanted to stir some shit up. Then I found one other article I found interesting. So Jake Kumaro, who they took, I believe he was the dude out of Clemson, that receiver.
Amari Rogers.
No, I'm talking about Kumaro. This particular situation happened. Apparently, when they released him, he absolutely threw a fit about it. Not because he liked him a lot, but because I guess the day before he had kind of come out and praised him a little bit for how he was fitting into the team. Then they released him the next day, and he apparently absolutely lost his shit about it because it made him look bad, right? So it's kind of like there's just so many storylines of the guy, and he to me just sounds like a self-centered asshole. And
he was MVP last year, number 1 points per game in the league. So, I mean, you put up with some of that shit.
I mean, so they come in here, losing the AFC Championship game last year. So, it is what it is. They had a good season. Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. I don't know what else you can really say about him. He had a great fucking year. He's a great quarterback. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen. I think they were 13-3, 13-3 or 12-4. I can't remember.
They were 13-3. Without him, they're in big trouble. That's for sure. They're not winning the division without him.
So they got the fourth hardest strength of schedule. They were +7 in turnover margin, which was 7th best in the league.
They are so lucky in this sense, though. I don't think that division schedule is really truly accurate because they're playing the first place schedule, and the 2 first place miscellaneous teams that they get in the NFC are the Washington football team because they won the division, and the New Orleans Saints. Both teams are not going to be. I don't think the football team is probably your least talented division winner, and the Saints are not going to be nearly as good as they were last year.
The football team. Isn't there something coming out that's going to be their name? They're just going to keep the football team?
Maybe. Who knows? I'm sure Snyder's wife's got it all taken care of. They hired his wife. The other thing about the Packers I'm really interested in is, like I mentioned, getting the RB2s with a lot of upside. A.J. Dillon is going to be another one of those guys this year. Don't necessarily like Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Jones in the first round. I'd rather sit tight and wait, and you can get A.J. Dillon in the 10th, 11th. And just if something happens to Aaron Jones, boom, now you've got an RB1 that you got in the 11th round. You're going to stash that player anyway, so why not take a guy with that kind of upside? That's the way to go in that scenario. And then Amari Rodgers.
Aaron Jones, I think, is a stud, but
he's due for a bust. He's due for a letdown year. He had
a lot of it's just going to really hinge on what the fuck happens with Rodgers because if he doesn't come in, you're stacking the box on Aaron Jones, and that's your primary guy you're trying to stop because they outside of Devontae Adams, they don't really have anyone to throw to.
Amari Rodgers is going to be the guy that I'm really intrigued at the receiver position. When you said they don't have guys to throw to outside of Devontae Adams, they'll still have Tanyan, but they drafted Amari Rodgers in the second round out of Clemson, and he could be like a little Randall Cobb-ish type player for Aaron Rodgers. He'll be playing a lot of slot, so I'm excited to see what the Packers do with Amari Rodgers, especially in a prop sense, DFS sense, depending on the scenario.
I mean, he could be a good sleeper, that's for sure. But I mean, and one thing too, I don't know what to expect from Jordan Love at all.
If he plays,
if he plays. Now, did your book have an over under? Because MGM did not.
No, but it had them to win the division number.
Yeah, -120.
But it wouldn't put a win-loss total in there. No, I noticed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're -120. I would be – this one intrigues me, conference championship +700. I wouldn't mind. I might make that official play. I might sprinkle a unit on that just because if he does play, they have a good chance they could win the conference and go to the Super Bowl. I don't see that as being outside the realm of the possibility because I think if if it gets set that he is playing and he announces, "Hey, I'm coming back to Green Bay," that number is going down from 700. You're not going to get that value, right? And
I agree with that.
after, so I think that's a good value play. It might be like a half unit type deal, but I might write that down and look into it a little bit more. That's plus 700 right now. So, when Rodgers is in there, he can do things a lot of other guys can't. So I don't think it's everything hinges on that. I mean, Devontae Adams' fantasy value hinges on that. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, literally the whole team kind of hinges on that. What the hell's going to happen?
Absolutely. Yeah,
and you could go up and be a stud. I don't know.
He's still not the MVP though.
No, not at all. So I don't really have anything else on the Packers. Packers are what they are. They're a good football team with Aaron Rodgers. Without, they are completely unknown. There's not much you could really talk about outside of that, I don't think. So anything else you want to add to there?
No, I'm with you. Like we said, everything's going to hinge on Rodgers, but that division is going to be such a toss-up. Either way, I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, it's Packers division, but 2 through 4, 2 and 3, yeah, it could go either way. You don't really know what's going to happen in the middle of that division, so I think it'll be interesting. And if Aaron Rodgers leaves the division, it's totally up for grabs. 1 through 3, I think all 3 of those teams would be equal. The Bears, Vikings, and Packers.
Okay, so and we're going to get into some division picks after we get through both. Well, we're done with the NFC North now, so let's hop on that. Okay, so we got quarterbacks. Rodgers, if he plays, we're going to go 2 different scenarios. Rodgers, we're going to assume in this scenario that Rodgers plays. Rodgers, Goff, Cousins, Fields. Rank them for me, fantasy-wise.
I got Rodgers, Cousins, Fields, Goff.
Okay. I
pretty much put it Packers, Vikings, Bears, Lions. So if you have Fields in, I would put Fields ahead of Vikings, or Vikings ahead. I put Fields ahead of Cousins. But if it's Dalton, I would put Cousins ahead of Dalton.
So for me, Rodgers, I would probably go, if he's playing, I go Rodgers, Cousins, Goff, and either Dalton or Fields. I think Fields I'd go Goff last, and then Bears would be 3, just because I don't think Goff doesn't really have anybody to throw to besides Hawkinson. I think
so we're in agreement with that one.
Yeah. I wouldn't put either Bear over Goff. I mean, Goff could come out and start airing it out, but I don't know who he's going to throw to. So, all right, running backs. Let's go back. If Love plays, now we got Love, Goff, Cousins, and we're just going to say Fields here for argument's sake, because I think if you want to own a Bears quarterback, that's the guy you're going to want. I think he ends up playing the more games than Dalton when it's all said and done. And, even if he doesn't, he's going to give you the upside when he does get in there finally. So if you got to go Love, Goff, Cousins, Fields.
I would then go Cousins, Love, Fields, Goff.
Cousins, Love, Fields, Goff.
Just taking the mobility, and then I'd give Love the nod over Fields just because, 1, he's got an extra year of experience learning behind Rodgers, and 2, he's got better playmakers and a far better offensive line.
I would definitely go Cousins first. I'd probably be with you in Fields with the mobility aspect, because especially when you guys get running quarterbacks coming out of the league, nobody ever has tape on them, so they usually have a pretty good first year running the ball.
I'd love second, then Fields.
Okay. I'd probably go Fields over Love. Then I would have Love, then Goff. Goff's just the bottom of the barrel, I think, for everybody. Running backs, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Dalvin Cook, David Montgomery. I'm going to go and this also, we're going to assume Rodgers does play in this scenario. You're going Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Swift, Montgomery for me.
Just flip-flop Montgomery and Swift for me. But as a team total, I like the Lions duo better than the Bears duo. So I will agree with you in that sense.
And obviously,
I like the 1-2 punch of Williams and Swift over Cohen and Montgomery, just because I don't think Cohen's utilized correctly. I think everybody in the world besides the Bears see that.
yeah, I agree. I like Cohen a lot, actually.
Yeah, they just won't throw a swing pass to the guy. Maybe a little wheel route. Maybe motion him out of the backfield. Get him with a linebacker. I don't know. Jesus.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on him, man. I like him a lot. I always have. Fuck, I think I had him for like 2 or 3 years in fantasy, and he just quietly
waiting for him. Yeah.
Points, right. I guess so. This would actually be probably the most interesting section to grade here. If you got receivers, and for this, I think we'd probably both be in agreement. If Rodgers plays, Davante Adams is the best receiver in this division, if not the whole league. So for this argument, let's say Rodgers does not play and Love is playing. How would you rate your 4 best receivers in the division? Now, it doesn't even have to be – it could be 2 from the same team, whatever you want to do. But if you're ranking your top 4 receivers in the division with Love playing for Green Bay.
Well, Davante Adams is still the best receiver in the division, regardless of who the quarterback is. So he's going to be 1. I would go 2 Jefferson, 3 Robinson, 4 Thielen.
Ooh, we're going to be a little different on this one. If Love – I don't know what we're getting from Love. So if I'm drafting and I'm just picking from this division –
I'm still taking Adams first, but just not – so, all right, so this is a tough question to answer. I'm taking Adams first, but with their spot, I'm not taking Adams in the first round with Love.
No. Yeah. I'm just saying for this division.
Adams is still going ahead of Jefferson no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I'm saying, like, if you're picking a team, though. If I'm picking, I'm probably, in that case, I'm probably going to go Allen Robinson over Davante. And that would be – it would be razor close and almost be like a 1A, 1B thing. But I would trust Allen Robinson a little bit more just because I have no clue what to expect from Love. Now, if he comes –
throwing the ball to Allen Robinson.
I mean, he's still got Dalton and Fields throwing the ball. I know what to expect from those two.
Yeah, but I don't know. I got to disagree with you big time on that one because what you think you're getting out of Dalton isn't that great. All right, so that doesn't propel him to over what Davante Adams could possibly lose by adding Love. You ever watch Davante Adams run a route? Oh my goodness, he's almost like Antonio Brownish.
Yeah, I mean,
Davante Adams still number 1.
But at least with Andy Dalton, we kind of know what we're getting there. As to with Love, I wouldn't have a fucking clue what I'm getting. He could come out and light a fire. I don't know. So that would be like a Robinson 1A, Davante 1B type for me, just because of the familiarity with Dalton over Love.
I would agree with you if we're taking purely like, okay, would you rather have value reasons? Would you rather have Davante at having to get him 7th overall in that scenario? Or would you rather have Robinson in the 3rd? Which then, give me Robinson in the 3rd.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we're ranking these guys, if you're taking a guy in this division on your team, who are you taking them, over? So I'd go Robinson, Davante, then I go Jefferson, Thielen. That's my 4. I'm not touching the Lions either at this point. Tight end, I'm going Hockenson, Irv Smith, Tanyan, Cole Kmet.
Yeah, I've got Hockenson, Tanyan, Kmet.
Oh, my boy Irv last? Oh.
Yeah, I don't. He's proven nothing. I don't think he's that good.
We're gonna talk about him too. I'm making a list of shit we're talking about now.
Yeah, make sure Kmet versus Irv Smith. I want to see how that one plays out.
All right, yeah.
And then just put that I think DeAndre Swift stinks. That's
terrible. That's actually terrible take.
Well, I don't think he stinks, but he ain't Jonathan Taylor.
See, going into last year, I like Swift better. And for quite a bit of the season, that looked – I mean, as far from a talent perspective. Just
I had to
when you
make that
go back and
decision.
look at Wisconsin running backs, they're not they just have those massive linemen. They don't really always produce. Now, Jonathan Taylor kind of had like two halves of the year, right? He looked really good in the second half, but he looked like shit in the first half of
Melvin Gordon, James White,
the year. You can't count James White.
Corey Clement. Who else am I missing?
Stop. You just named two so backs.
But they just crank them out. And then who's the other one? Oh, Jonathan Taylor, then Melvin Gordon. Okay, yeah. But in my dynasty draft last year, I had to make the call: do I want DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor? Thank God I took Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, I had him last year. I traded for him a couple weeks before he went off, so it actually worked out really well.
That's huge. Because he was killer at the end of the year last year. He was awesome.
So, wrap up the NFC North here. Who wins the division? I'm going to go.
Packers.
We're going with the Packers with Rodgers. What about without Rodgers?
Vikings.
I'm right there with you on both of them. Yeah. And I think the Vikings could give him a run anyway if Rodgers is in there. Just because if he does come back, one thing as well, there's going to be a shit ton of tension if he does come in and actually play. So we'll have to kind of see. That'll be interesting.
Play.
I think he's going to play too. I don't think there's any way he doesn't. But, whatever. All right. NFC North time. I just had someone hit me on Book It when I said we were about to talk about the NFC North, and he just put Ravens. I'm like really hoping he tunes in to hear my take.
The Ravens are good.
You already probably know where I'm going with it.
Lamar Jackson stinks.
All right, Cleveland. We'll start off with your boys.
Why are they my boys?
I don't know. I just felt like saying that.
I actually don't prefer them.
Good draft, right? Added Newsom. They brought back, and I just had to pull it up here because I had it wrote down. I got all this shit wrote down. Oh, they picked up Clowney. I don't think that's a big deal. They didn't really lose anybody, so I think they got better. Now the question kind of becomes, were they a fluke last year?
Yes.
Think so.
Well, yeah. I mean, they went 7-3 in one-score games, so that's kind of absurd to sustain. They were -11 in point differential. They were the only team to make the playoffs with a negative point differential. They got incredibly lucky with the sense that they ran the ball the fourth amount of times in the league attempts, and they had the third amount of yards. And that's not lucky by any stretch of the imagination. But if you remember in October, November, December, there was, I think, 3 or 4 home games in a row where there was literally 40 miles an hour wind, pouring rain. Like, it was literally, you couldn't build better weather for the Browns to be successful. And they were. They won 2 one-score games against the shithole Cincinnati Bengals that played them tough. So I don't think the Browns were that good. They was masked against playing Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh stunk. And you get to play a team that you've already played twice, a team that's in your division. You have the familiarity. You go to beat them in the playoffs. All right, who cares? It was a coin flip because, again, you're playing Pittsburgh, and it's a team you're familiar with. They went to Kansas City and looked real good there for a little bit, but then that kind of faded. No big deal. But I think they're due for the setback. I like Odell Beckham's fantasy value. I don't think they have a tight end. I like their offensive line. I'm up and down with Chubb. It depends if you have a PPR league or not. He's incredibly productive for not doing anything in the passing game. He's kind of an anomaly with that. Derrick Henry, those are two of the only players that really come to mind that provide first to second round value as a running back when they're incredibly one-dimensional. So that's just a little note on Chubb. But I'm targeting their under.
I like the under 2 just because it's a 10.5, and I think there's value there. But, and I'm a Bengals fan, so let me backtrack a bit. I hate the Browns. I hate the Ravens. I hate the Steelers, right? I hate all 3 of them, just like you hate everybody in your division, right? But with that being said, I have never been a Baker Mayfield fan. I just haven't. For some reason, I've never been in on the guy. I think it's more of a character thing for me. But what I will give the guy is he's in right now a really good system because I personally think Nick Chubb is probably the most talented back in football. I think he's absolutely amazing. Now they do have Kareem Hunt who comes in. He takes a lot of his fucking carries. But man, when that dude's on the field, he's absolutely explosive. He can work in the passing game. They just don't work him a lot.
Yeah, you
right?
get those cream hunt.
Yeah, and that's been a great 1-2 punch for him. But the thing that does do really well is that sets up Baker Mayfield for that play action where he's actually excelled at.
That's where he's best.
Yeah. So a couple other stats, man. I mean, Nick Chubb saw a stacked box 30% of the time. Still had a great season despite missing games. The Browns were first in pass blocking and run blocking. Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, they've got a great offensive line, and I'm not concerned at all about Chubb being with the stacked box 30% of the time because I guarantee you they had 12 personnel or way majority higher average than most teams in the league. So them
They
stacking
ran
the box, it just cancels.
Yeah, they ran 11 personnel quite a bit. I think it was their main personnel front, which is most teams.
Yeah, they should focus more on 12 with theirs, especially with Baker Mayfield.
Baker got sacked quite a bit, holds on to the ball quite a bit if he doesn't get his first read. They run the ball the fourth most times last year. Under pressure, he has a PFF grade of 41, which is pretty abysmal. But that being said, man, another guy I've never been – I guess I got a lot of hot takes, man. Another guy I have never, ever been a fan of is Odell Beckham. Yeah, man, we're both on there.
It's T. Lynch from 17.
This is Chi-Town. He follows me, man.
Nice.
Pretty cool dude.
I'm the golf guy.
Never, ever, ever. Yeah, T's the golf guy. He's the golf guy. All right. I've never been a fan of Baker Mayfield or Odell Beckham, but I do think for some reason that offense just performs better when Odell Beckham's off the field, and I don't know why that is. And he's super talented. Don't get me wrong, he's great. I think he just brings more bullshit to the team than what he's worth, to be honest with you.
A lot of times teams feel forced to try to get that guy the ball, and it can end up, like I said, being forced and causing mistakes. Oh, I just see him shut down bad spot. It can end up they're trying to force him to get the ball because they know they got such a talent out there. But you're going to be able to get that dude in the 6th, 7th, 8th round in these fantasy drafts, and that's something you got to really look at. You really do, especially when Jarvis is going in the 8th, 9th. I mean, when you can get Odell and Jarvis in the same neighborhood.
I like Jarvis Landry as a receiver better than I do Odell Beckham. I think he's more reliable.
You're just like that lunch pail, hard hat kind of guy. That's why you don't like Baker Mayfield either.
Baker 31st against under pressure. I mean, that's kind of.
See, we're like good cop, bad cop. I'm the bad cop, so I like Baker Mayfield. I like the bad guy.
Of this.
I like the bad guy.
I've started to believe in him a little bit more last year. I was watching play. I was like, okay, he's
a good teammate too. People think he's an asshole, and he's not. He's a good teammate. He has fun. He loves to play football. He just, I get it. People see a lot of Johnny Manziel in him, and they're way out of line.
Chi-Town bets.
Get in our league.
We were just talking about that, bro. There is, I don't know how long you bid on Book It, but let's see if I can. You got that graphic I sent, Tommy?
What graphic?
For the league, fantasy league.
No, but I'm pulling my fantasy up right now, so I can tell you whatever questions you need.
Yeah, I gotta find. Okay, we send way too many gifts to each other about fucking Brooks and Bryson. Literally, I'm scrolling through, and that's like all I see, like half. Anyway, Chi-Town, yeah, we do have a Book It league that I started up. Trent's in it, Huncho's in it. I'm in it. T's in it. Winterwire's in it. We got like 4 or 5 spots left. I think 3 or 4 spots left. So if you want to get in it, bro, DM me on Twitter. I'll send you the link. I think it's like a $250 buy-in. But it's
God damn.
What?
I didn't know it was that high, but that's fine. Okay.
Yes, you did. I fucking told you about it.
I think I picked that.
Yeah, you helped me set the structure, you jack. Jesus Christ. Yeah, here it is, man. 16-team PPR.
16 teams. Holy shit.
Bro, you literally helped me set this whole thing up. 16-team PPR, 17 playoff, 250 buy-in, 1,500 champ, 750 runner-up, 350 first place. We're paying out the regular season number 1 seed and the highest score for the regular season. Then $50 a week to the highest scoring team. So
that's tight.
Hit me up on my Twitter. Just DM me. I'll get you the link, bro, if you want to. Anyway, back to the Browns. As much as I hate them, I don't think they were a fluke, but I don't think they're going to I'm trying to think really how to word this because honestly, like if I'm looking at this objectively, I think they're probably my favorite to win the division.
Really?
Yeah, just for reasons we're going to get into the other team. Now 11-5. I think the AFC North as a whole is going to take a step back.
Yes.
But with Cleveland, I mean, I don't think I see an 11-5. I mean, I could see a 10-7, or I could see 11-6. Just that extra fucking game is hitting me right now. So I think there is some value under 10.5. It's even money right now. I do think they make the playoffs, whether it's a wild card or a division championship spot. Their defense is going to get a little bit better, and I think as long as Chubb can stay healthy, I don't see their run game really being slowed down all that much, especially with the play action pass. So I think they have a really good shot to win that division this year.
I can see it. I just, like I said, the 7-3 and 1 score games and the negative point differential was enough for me to say, hey, this is a team that is, if there's a team that out there that's showing trends of a possibility of declining, that's the team I like. Especially also Pittsburgh.
Turnover margin.
What's that?
+5 in turnovers, 9th in the league.
Yeah, right. So you're probably not going to duplicate that because there's a lot of luck in turnovers.
Yeah, I agree.
And so you're still negative point differential.
Yeah, I mean, they used to give up almost 27 points a game, which is a shit ton.
And then
when you're running the football that well and throwing off play action that well. I mean, I definitely see what you're saying. I do think they regress a little bit, but I also think the whole division almost regresses.
Except for one team.
There's one team I do like.
No.
I do. I think they're probably the favorite, just because of some other stuff I'm going to get into.
They shouldn't be the favorite.
Okay, so let's hop into who's your favorite. We'll hop into them.
I think the Ravens are going to run away with it.
You think the Ravens are going to win? Oh, that's good. That's what I had locked up here next.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Baltimore 11-5, second hardest strength of schedule. In the league, we got over under 10.5, -300 to make the playoffs, +240 to miss it, +115 to win the division, +750 to win the conference. So give me your thoughts on the Ravens, bro. I have thoughts.
I like them a lot. I think they were probably the unluckiest team in football last year. If you look at those numbers, the turnover lucks and all of that nonsense, I think just like the Browns had all the stats that were showing that they kind of got lucky and they have room to regress, I feel like the Ravens were still an above-average team last year while having the worst turnover luck they could possibly have. A lot of things go against them. They were without Lamar for, I think, 2 games. It was 2 games, I'm pretty sure. They're still 7th in the league in points per game. There's only one place that they can go as far as their passing game, and it is going to go up. I love Lamar Jackson's over 3,200 passing yards. It's probably my biggest lock for a future for this year. He threw 31.75, I think, his rookie year, and there's an extra game this year. They have a far better receiving core than they've ever had. I think it's going to be a bit of a focus, and his passing is not as bad as it's led to believe on paper. When given the opportunity, he is actually a better passer. It's just they a lot of times give him the opportunity to pass when it's predictable scenarios. And that's where the Ravens and Romans got to be better for me. And I think they will be better in that scenario. I think Dobbins, he was, I think, averaging 18 points per game from
I absolutely love J.K. Dobbins.
Correct. You're going to be able to get him in the third round in your leagues. For me, it's all right. Hey, let's not necessarily retake one of these running backs here in the first round. Let's grab one of those studs, maybe a guy that can separate themselves in a Travis Kelce. When you can get an RB1 J.K. Dobbins in the third round, you just kind of got to rely on him still being borderline a touchdown a game because that's what he was doing. He was averaging 18 points per game, fantasy points per game, weeks 11 on. I hope that continues, but it's going to kind of rely on the touchdowns. I think Gus Edwards is going to get 10 or so touches a game, so that is going to take away a little for Dobbins. I do think the receivers are going to take a step forward, specifically Hollywood Brown. Bateman, rookie out of Minnesota, I like him, but give him time. Sammy Watkins, not overly high on him. I think Andrew builds off of – he was better 2 years ago during his breakout year last year. Took a little bit of a step back. I think he gets back to that form again. He was a little hot or cold. He would either have 7, 8 catches or 2 catches, it seemed like, with Andrews. So I like to see him get a little bit more consistent.
He burned me a couple times on props. I thought were going to be absolute smashes.
Agreed. He would have 2.5, 3.5 catches or 45 to 55 yards, and you'd be like, yeah, no problem. And then he'd go 2, 3 games, not do it, and then would have 85 yards, 86 yards, whatever. So, yeah, I agree with you. I like Andrews a lot. But I think you're going to get a step forward from Lamar, and I think their defense is going to be not significantly better because their defense was already pretty good. Their secondary is going to be excellent, though.
So here's kind of my thoughts on them. I'm not a Lamar fan. I've pretty much made that known to pretty much everybody I know.
You're going to die on that hill, aren't you?
I am going to die on that hill because it's going to be the right hill to die on. I don't think the marriage with Greg Roman and Harbaugh works because,
for now,
while I don't like Lamar as a passer, people not to get me wrong here, seems like a cool fucking dude, helps out around the community and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think he has the passing ability to be a above average starter in the league. Like there's other guys I see and I'm just like, they can throw the football better. That being said, when the dude has the ball on the ground, he's probably the most electric player in the league. He's fun to watch. And if he tucks it and goes, man, like anytime we're playing him, the Bengals, I'm like, my heart stops because I'm like, fuck, he's going to break this off and get a touchdown. But that being said, man, I keep waiting. And it started to happen a little bit to an extent, and I think mostly happened to an extent when you watched the Titans play him last year. They pretty much kind of took him out of his element 3 times, I believe.
I know they beat him. Yeah, they beat him in the playoffs and then twice last year. So, yeah, I think they've – no. They beat him in the playoffs once.
The year before – they beat them.
And then they beat them in the regular season last year, and then the Ravens beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Ravens did beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. The Titans beat them in the playoffs 2 years ago. Then the Titans beat them in Baltimore last year, and then the Ravens won in the playoffs.
Yeah. They beat Tennessee in the playoffs. But the game before that, the Titans shut them down. They beat them in overtime. The problem Henry. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about Derrick Henry, by the way. You talk about I'll get a chub right on air about Derrick Henry. I love that man. Anyway, the thing just with him is, like, I watch him. He really struggles to make the throws outside of the numbers. Hollywood Brown, he's too damn small. I think when we went over, we were talking about the draft. I can't remember who we were saying they should have took, but I remember, Bateman almost is kind of like Hollywood Brown in a sense.
No. We said they should have taken. No, so we were worried that they were possibly going to take Eli Moore, who is like Hollywood Brown.
That's right.
We were saying take Bateman, the bigger body receiver, which they did. They did it right. They took Bateman and then the defensive end from Penn State, who didn't have a sack, but they liked him still.
Yeah, that one still doesn't make any sense, especially I was looking today. They were 25th in pass rush.
Jason
they did have Wolf.
Their secondary is awesome, though.
Their secondary is good, so they're going to be good there. They got off the field well on 3rd and 4th down. They were actually first in points allowed, so their defense is going to be fine. It'll be one of the top ones in the league. They're going to continue to run the ball. So with their defense being that good, they can kind of play that game where they run because they shouldn't get behind a ton. But man, I mean, I think Lamar takes a step back overall because there almost has to be, if he comes out another year and just lights everybody up off the ground, I'll say I was wrong because he's 3rd year.
I think he's going to be better passing this year. I don't think his passing is as bad as people give him credit for.
Dude, I've watched him sail so many passes. I mean, if he put the work in and he gets better, cool. But what I've seen up to this point doesn't give me any hope in him as a passer. Actually,
hopefully Hollywood builds off of the playoffs because he had a nice playoff.
He did have a nice playoff. I like Hollywood Brown. He's an explosive guy. They added another receiver, too. I can't remember his name.
Sammy Watkins.
No, outside of Sammy Watkins. I don't give a shit about Sammy Watkins. He can't stay on the field. I can't remember the dude's name. I'll have to look it up.
He'll be the 4th receiver, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. They did add Zeitler, so I think that's going to help their offensive line, which their offensive line honestly was fine. Their run blocking could have used a little bit of help, but Zeitler's still – he's not extremely old. He's in his 30s, but I think he's early 30s. So, I mean, I think that was a great pickup. I was actually hoping the Bengals got him back, but, here we are. But I think, yeah, you're definitely going to get a good defense. J.K. Dobbins, if Gus Edwards was not there, J.K. Dobbins to me would be a top probably 5 pick. The dude's a home run.
Yeah, so you and I are going to be fighting for Dobbins. That's good.
Oh, fuck, man. That's right. We got to stop talking about fantasy since we're not leaving together.
Well, we kind of have no choice. We're going to be talking nothing but fantasy together.
Good shit, right?
That's whatever.
Yeah, I love Dobbins. I think Dobbins, if he kind of has the season I think he can have, I think he can be a top 5 back if he gets the carries, or at least perform like a top 5 back when he does get the carries. I think that is going to let some pressure off of Lamar and still probably open some more running lanes. And if Watkins is on the field and could stay on the field, he's going to help him out. Is there like an over-under on how many games he's going to play? Because I'll take the under. I don't care if it's like 5. I mean, the dude can't stay on the field to save his life.
He does always get hurt.
I just have not seen anything from Lamar Jackson show me that he can consistently throw an accurate football. Unless he's put a lot of work in and improved, I don't see it.
That was a dope play.
Average time to throw for Lamar, this just means he holds on to the ball, 41st out of 42 starting quarterbacks last year.
That's pretty bad.
His offensive line is giving him time. It's also telling you he's holding that ball a lot. He got sacked 8% because he's holding that ball a lot, 28th in the league. Obviously they run the ball more than anybody in the league, so I don't really know what other stats to throw out there. I do think they take a step back. I would take the under 10.5. It's plus 125. I still think they're up there with the division, but I think Cleveland's going to be more of a threat than Baltimore. And Cleveland has a better game and a better quarterback.
The fact that Baltimore won 11 games last year tells me take that over because I think they're going to be better than last year.
We're on opposite sides of the fence on that one. I'll have to write that one down too.
Let's just meet up and fight. I don't want to do that, honestly.
I got a half broken back right now. You probably all right. One thing too, they need to clean up is their fucking penalties, man. I noticed too. And I was like, oh, that shit. 28th in the league in penalties, 7 a game.
Jesus,
that's a lot.
Who do we get next? The Bengals or the Steelers?
Pittsburgh.
Save the Bengals for
Where's
last.
Nicky Pitts at? Oh man, he's not in here. Nicky Pitts, big Steelers fan. All right, I'm gonna start this one off. Hardest strength of schedule in the league. Coming off, what were they last year? 12-4 season, in which, to be honest with you, was a very unimpressive 12-4. I don't know how you can do that, but to me, man, a lot of the games I watched, I know they kind of squeaked out a win on the Titans. They squeaked out a lot of other wins. They started off really hot, but man.
Start off 11-0, but their offensive line is just a joke. They don't ever run the ball because they're masking that offensive line, which is a ton of quick passing. It's pretty wild that a team goes 12-4, right? There's one more game added to the schedule, and what's their over/under? 8.5.
8.5. Yeah.
That's wild.
So, passing, they passed the second most in the league, which baffles me because of Ben Roethlisberger and his age. But also they didn't have a running back. So
and they're 15th in yards. That's pretty impressive to be 2 in passing attempts and 15th in yards.
Sacked the least in the league. Fourth best passing grade, or fourth best pass blocking grade on PFF. Ben's not throwing the ball down the field. Average depth to target is 7.4, 33rd out of 38 quarterbacks. Defense was still pretty good, though.
Best in the league.
Yeah, defense was good, but they lost Mike Hilton, that slot corner. They lost, I think, what's a huge loss, Bud Dupree, just because he's got speed. So I think, which I love for the Titans, but for the Steelers, I think that's going to be a big loss. So I still think their defense is fine. I do think they take a regression. They're not going to be the top defense in the league anymore. So I think they take a regression there. They basically traded Connor for Najee Harris, which I think is I like it too. I think everybody kind of likes it. It's a great fit for them. The only problem is I don't know who the hell's going to block with them because Villanueva left, and didn't they have another guard leave? Oh, Jesus. You're going to clip that for later, aren't you? When Tommy sneezes on air.
I might. We need somebody to sponsor that sneeze.
Sneeze brought you by.
Now, Najee Harris is going to get a ton of work this year. I'm with you on their line was bad last year. It's going to get even worse. Number 2 passing attempts, like you said, 15 pass yards, 28 rushing attempts, 32nd in rushing yards. Not a great number. Only one place to go.
Run blocking.
Najee Harris is going to get the ball a ton. I like that value that Nicky Pitts said for him for Rookie of the Year. I like that a lot. You've got 3 receivers there that really don't know what to do with. Hopefully Deontay Johnson learns how to catch because he can separate as good as any receiver in the league. He just can't catch shit. You can get him in the 4th, 5th round, but my God. And he's going to get targets of a first-round receiver. He's got the potential of a second-round receiver, but you're going to have to take him in the 3rd, 4th round and hope that he doesn't have the drops of an 8th, 9th round receiver because that's what he was doing last year. It was bananas watching this dude last year because they would not stop throwing him the ball. But he's always open because he can run routes with the best of them. His separation, especially off the line, is Antonio Brownish. It's as good as it gets in the league. But then you're going to –
right? They just take these guys and turn them into stud receivers.
All the time. It's like clockwork.
Let me
But then
back
you'll
here on Najee Harris a little bit. So
yep.
you like him a lot. I like him a lot, but I think you might have contradicted yourself a little bit. So we just talked about 31st ranked, run offensive line in the league, right?
That was
So
last year.
that was last year, but they also lost guys. So you would expect they're probably going to be worse. So now we're
Well,
throwing a rookie running back in that situation. I love Najee Harris, but I don't really like him this year
here's the only
because I'm
difference.
running behind a one-dimensional offense and an offensive line that's not going to be very good in the run game.
Well, to start, where was I going to start?
If you're in a PPR, I think he's got a lot more upside.
Yeah, and Connors was out for the vast majority of last year. So you're really working with Benny Snell versus Najee Harris. And Najee Harris is a totally another planet of a player, I think. Oh, and I know what I was going to say. Najee Harris is absolutely the number 1 overall pick in dynasty drafts. So for long-term success, it's Najee Harris too. But
I have to have
Najee's better.
a dynasty show.
Yeah, I know. I want to because I love my dynasty league. But honestly, it's going to borderline be a mindset too. The Steelers have to, whether they're thinking, all right, well, our talent maybe not necessarily as good as it was last year. We lost some guys. We got some different guys. You have to commit to the run. They didn't even try to run the ball last year. They have to make it a priority to try to run the ball last year because you can't just throw the ball every play. That wasn't going to work. So they're going to commit to at least attempting to run the ball. They wouldn't have drafted a running back in the first round if that wasn't the case. So I do think they're going to improve this year. So I certainly in dynasty scenarios, I'm taking Najee Harris. Now, what I do very much agree with you, I think, is in standard drafts, Najee Harris is going to go in the second round. I'm not ready to go there yet. Yeah. He's going to be borderline going right there with Chubb and Aaron Jones.
No, he's not even
That's
close.
crazy to me. And that's crazy.
Now, if you take Najee and you put him on an offensive line like Cleveland's or something like that, I still Chubb's a better running back. But then I think you can make that argument. But as bad as this offensive line is, I actually got a bet with a buddy that's a massive Steelers fan. But this may be a hot take. I don't know. I think they finished last in the league. I think they have
what's this?
I think they finished last in the league. Or not in the league.
The worst team rushing?
In the division. I think they finished last.
I mean, I've got them finishing third.
Yeah. I mean, so you got Ben Roethlisberger, who's, I think, 90 years old. He's got a noodle arm. He can't throw it down the field anymore. Average depth to target, like I said, 7.4.
He's going to get hurt.
Yeah, probably.
The most exciting thing I'm excited about for the Steelers is Pat Freiermuth, the tight end that they drafted from Penn State. He's like, when I said earlier that I'm looking more for dynasty guys or DFS plays late in the year or prop bets late in the year, Pat Freiermuth is going to be the starting tight end by the end of the year for the Steelers. I'll bet my life on that. And if you're ever doing those like primetime DFS where you play everybody from one game, there's usually one guy that separates everybody. It's all right. We all had the big guy who performs, but who had that 3,400 price tag that blew up? Whether it's a kicker, whether it's the defense that pick six, whether it's a backup tight end, whether it's a backup running back, a third string receiver. Pat Freiermuth could be that guy. And I think we're going to be scenarios where there's low prop numbers for him, and he's going to be able to make us some money. I was a gigantic fan of him when he was at Penn State. His nickname is Baby Gronk, so that kind of tells you everything you need to know. He's a freak of nature. He's a matchup nightmare.
I'm writing that one down, too. I'm just going to have a list of shit that we say. We can
see how stupid we are.
Or stupid as hell.
Yeah, so Pat Freiermuth, towards the end of the year, I think he's going to be a factor. I think a lot of people are going to know his name. I think next year when we're doing drafts, we're going to be saying Pat Freiermuth. He's going to be our, I said Cole Kmet this year's TJ Hawkinson of last year. Next year, Pat Freiermuth is our TJ Hawkinson of last year.
I do like him coming out of Penn State. I think
I loved him.
Were we talking? I feel like we've already talked about him a little bit.
I was talking about him during the draft. I told you, heads up, this could be him here on certain picks. I thought the Jaguars could have possibly taken him.
There was another team we were thinking I was going to take him, though. I'm trying to remember.
The Bills. I thought the Bills were going to draft him.
Right, Bills, yeah, because we were talking about Dawson Knox and shit. Yep.
When the Bills were coming, I thought that was going to be the pick.
Well, I remember that.
Because I called ETN to the Jaguars. That was tight.
That'll be a fun team to break down, too. So Pittsburgh over under 8.5. What would you take?
Well, they kind of give that line. They kind of give away the answer. I'm taking. If you had to take something, take the under. They'll probably go 8 and 9. The line itself gives it away. So when you have something like that, and you're like, "What? That seems a little too good." This team, all right, they won 12 games last year, and they're playing one extra game this year. They only got to win 9 this year. It seems pretty easy, right? Yeah, let's go the opposite way.
Yeah,
I bet you Big Ben doesn't even play. You want to take over under on somebody's game started? Give me Big Ben's under. That dude loves to be hurt.
Parlay him and Watkins under 5 games played.
Yeah, that dude loves – and then parlay that with Matt Stafford's over in games played because that dude won't get off the field.
He doesn't care. Have you ever seen that NFL Films video of him?
It's just amazing.
Oh, my God, man.
Against the Browns. That's his rookie. That's like like one of the first – that's their first win in 2 years.
So let me ask you this. If Roethlisberger – gets pulled or goes down, who's stepping in? You got Dobbs, Rudolph, or Big Dwayne?
I don't think it matters, to be honest with you. They're going to lose every single game they play.
No, I agree, but who do you think steps in for him?
Haskins, because of the pedigree.
Yeah, I think he would too, just to see if they have anything there.
Bingo. You've got nothing in the other guys.
No, I don't think there's anything in Haskins either, and I'm a Buckeye fan. I never thought he was going to be good coming out. Let's see. That's pretty much about all I got on them. Defense probably going to take a step back.
All right, well, that's it for everything, right? We've got no other teams left, right?
No, we're done. All done. My Bengals. All right. So coming off of a disappointing. Well, what started out as an encouraging year, but ended up ultimately disappointing. Burrow got hurt.
I think it was still all right. I don't think it was. It certainly wasn't a failure of a year. That's for sure.
Yes, it was.
Really? I mean, it was as successful as a 4-win season can be. Let's say that.
Well, I mean,
you can see you're on the right track.
They were on the right track until he got hurt, yes. And then I think just everything just imploded and went away. Jesus Christ, the runs being scored in this game are unbelievable.
In the Phillies game?
It's 10-3.
Yeah, it's like the 4th inning.
Jesus Christ. I mean, honestly, and I was going to talk about this too. So with Burrow coming back, which is what everybody's expecting, I actually went to – so my son, I told you, takes golf lessons every week. And the guy he takes a lesson with, his coach actually was taking a lesson or giving a lesson one day to one of the Bengals linebacker coaches. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm about to pick his brain, right? So I picked his brain a little bit. And he said Burrow is one of the most amazing people he's ever met. He's like, I've never met someone that motivated. Like, okay, that's cool. I'm just a random person he's talking to, right? Mm-hmm. But, I think everybody's kind of like, yeah, the dude's unbelievable. So, let's see. He played 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 full games. In those games, they honestly should have beat the Chargers. They
should have beat the Eagles.
With Cleveland, they should have beat the Eagles. It wasn't out of the possibility for them starting off 4-0. And that was literally pretty much all Burrow. They should have beat the Colts. They got smoked by the Ravens. But if you look at like everything he was in, outside of like 3 games, they were in every single one of those games. Mm-hmm. So, which gives me a lot of hope. I love Burrow. I liked him before we even took him. I remember watching him just shred Alabama, and I was like, this dude's legit. Mm-hmm. Then we hit him, and I was hyped.
And Jamar Chase is going to be an absolute superstar, an absolute freak of nature super. I don't think people understand. They don't. I know, even avid NFL fans,
Bro, did you
they
see
do not know how good Jamar Chase
yesterday?
is. What's that?
Did you see the whole thing about him yesterday?
No.
So apparently somebody on Instagram put a screenshot of his text, like this chick. So I guess, Jamar Chase supposedly slept with a lady or whatever, and she came out and she was texting him saying she's pregnant, and he told her to go get a plan B. Like she screenshotted it and put it out there, and like he's getting ran down the road a little bit. I'm just like,
who cares?
Yeah, whatever. It's not.
I
Like he's
thought you were
telling
gonna be like, I wasn't expecting that. That's not where I thought you were going with that at all.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I just thought it was funny. Like my buddy texted me, and I just started laughing. I'm like, at least he's not going to tell her to go get an abortion or something awful. He's just telling her to go to take a plan B.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I love the kid, and there's all being here in Cincinnati, I'm constantly hearing talk radio reports. Their team chemistry. Supposedly they've had a couple of days where like the ball doesn't even touch the ground type shit.
People don't understand how good he is. He's Julio Jones. He's AJ Green. He's going to be a top 5 receiver in the NFL in the next 2 or 3 years. Back to the dynasty talk. I've got the 2nd overall pick, so I'm assuming Najee Harris will be that number 1 pick. So plan on welcoming Jamar Chase to the Team Uncle T.
Team Uncle T. They rebuffed their line a little bit. They got Riley Reef coming in, which people are like they didn't do enough.
They got your boy Jackson Carman.
They got Jackson. We'll see if he starts off the bat. I'm not really sure where they're going with that.
He's supposed to start at guard, isn't he?
The early talk is Spain and Michael Jordan. Which
you got Michael Jordan?
Yeah, he's coming in here balling, bro.
Well, you guys are a lock.
Yeah. Same dude that got Burrow's leg broken, so we'll see how that goes.
He was looking thick in the documentary, so that checks out that he's playing offensive line.
Michael Jordan's actually holding in a camp here, I think, tomorrow. I don't know where, what school, but I just know he's doing that. So supposedly those are the 2 starting guards. I think Carmen will find his way in there. We'll see how he does preseason. But I think the whole point of taking him was to take him from tackle, move him interior, and then move him out, when Reef's done or whatever. So I did like the moves they made on the offensive line. I loved the moves that they made on defense. I mean, they brought in Uzi. They brought in Hilton. Mm-hmm. They added some depth there with Ricardo Allen. They got Trey Hendrickson. Then I already told you that, on offense they got Riley Reef. So I loved the moves they did there. It was time for AJ to go. I mean, as much as I love him. The only thing that really pissed me off that they did is they let Carl Lawson walk, who's a great young talent, and I like William Jackson as well. He's not a huge loss, but I mean he is a loss. He's a number 1 corner. Outside of that, I did love all the moves they make. I love the draft that they had. So I think it's going to be an interesting year. But I'm with you on Jamar Chase. I think this offense, to me, is going to be extremely explosive because they were explosive before he went down. Now you got a better line. You got a healthy Mixon.
I was going to say, and Mixon.
Boyd. Shit, man, he got booted off again. Jesus. He probably needs to just stop with the Wi-Fi and just connect 3G. Right? There he is again. Right,
what the hell?
Bro, are you using Wi-Fi or your cellular?
Yeah, but it's got to just be the weather. There's literally a hurricane happening outside.
You probably just want to use cellular when it's that bad. Anyway, you got T, Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon healthy with a better offensive line. Hopefully that keeps Burrow protected. I just see your fist here on my screen for whatever reason, and he's back off again. I think he switched over to cellular. So for that reasons, I do like the Bengals this year. I think now, and I'm not saying they're Super Bowl contenders or anything like that, but I do think they're going to surprise people, similar to the Browns. I don't think they're going to be the Browns this year. I don't think they're going to make this crazy playoff run. But I do think they're going to be kind of in the mix there at the end in this division because, like I said, I see Pittsburgh taking a big step back. I think Cleveland regresses a little bit, and I think Baltimore regresses a little bit. So I think the Bengals will be right there for that. Maybe a wild card spot. I don't know. But I think their offense is plenty good enough to hang with just about anybody in the league, especially the division. And if their additions from free agency and all that and the draft pan out on defense, they could be a much more improved team.
I actually agree with you, especially in the sense because what I was saying before, I think I kicked myself out. I don't really know.
Did you switch this up?
Yeah, Mixon wasn't at his best in those first couple games of the year last year. He actually started to turn it on a little bit when Burrow was out, I think. So if he can be at his true form early in the year, I think there's a lot better opportunity for the Bengals. But I also agree with you because every year
didn't play most of the end of the year. It was Gio that did.
Right.
Mixon was done all year.
Correct. But when Burrow first went out, like that game against Pittsburgh, was Mixon good against that game against Pittsburgh that they beat, that they won? But I just remember thinking, especially that game in Philly, I remember just thinking in that game in Philly that Mixon was basically useless that game. And if he could have been worth a shit at all, they win that game. So my kind of point was if Mixon, and he was sluggish, I know, to start the year fantasy-wise because I had him.
Mixon only played 5 games last year.
Right. Okay, so either way, if my kind of point, if Mixon can be himself, that offense will be much better than it was last year, and it was already a good offense. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. But what's that?
I didn't say anything.
I just still cracking. But every year you see that, like the quarterbacks when they take the next step, they're very well could be the Bengals could be that team. When the quarterback takes the next step, they kind of carry the team with them. You see that young quarterback start to carry their team up. You see it every year with a team. That could absolutely be the Bengals this year.
Yeah, I mean, there's not the only place to really go on defense is up because their defense is so bad the last couple of years, and really it's been bad since Zimmer left. Offensively, though, I think they continue to improve. I do love Jamar Chase, man. And I love Tyler Boyd, and I like T. Higgins a lot as well. I think they're all three. I think probably Higgins would be, as much as I like Higgins, I could see all three of them being wide receiver number ones. Obviously, you're not going to have them on the same team, but, I mean, they're all just so talented.
I like Higgins this year.
Yeah. And I love Tyler Boyd as well. He's a great slot receiver.
What about Auden Tate? Where does he fit in?
I like Auden Tate, but he's not going to get a lot of work. I mean, which is a shame because he's actually a really talented receiver, I think. But we'll see kind of how he does. I mean, he'll probably be coming in and I don't know. He'll probably just, if they go to 4 wide or whatever, or just if there's an injury, he'll step in.
Which there will be.
Probably, yeah.
There's always injuries.
So, yeah, I mean, Bengals over 6.5, I like a lot. That's actually probably one of my favorite plays of the day just because I'm here and I probably know them better than anybody else, and I'm usually pretty damn good with my home teams. So
here's what I'm talking about. So I'm looking at Mixon's numbers right now. The game in Philly that I was referencing, 17 carries, 49 yards, no touchdowns. The next week, 16 carries, 46 yards, no touchdowns. The week before that, 24 carries, 59 yards, no touchdowns. He did have the one game against Jacksonville, 25, 151, 2 touchdowns. But I remember he was, like, when the offense was actually clicking, he stunk. So if the offense can get clicking, he's all right. There could be some upside there.
I think, too, one guy that might step in and kind of do a Geo role that everybody might, like in a deep league like this 16-team we're in, or 16-team league that we're in, Chris Evans from Michigan, the running back that they got.
Okay.
Have a little Geo role.
What about P. Ryan? What about P. Ryan?
I like Samaje P. Ryan, but I don't know what they're going to do with him. They have used him mostly on special teams. He did get some work last year, but I think
that's who the running back was against the Steelers.
No, it was Gio.
Giovanni Bernard?
Yeah.
Did he have a big game? Did he have a big game?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, I lost a lot of
What?
money on that game because I kept live betting the Steelers, thinking that there's no way they're not going to win this game. And the
Gee,
Bengals
what
won.
game did P. Ryan have? Did P. Ryan have a good game, actually?
Houston, 13 for 95.
Nah, I'm wrong then. I don't know why. I don't know why his
No,
name stuck
that was
out.
the one. He had 13 for 95 and 2 touchdowns against Houston.
Oh, all right, maybe that was it. Because I remember there was a week where people were like, "Oh, let's play him in DFS," and he actually snapped. But you can't really play those guys. It pissed me off.
So that pretty much wraps us up with AFC North, man. I mean, kind of ran through everything. Spent a couple hours here, so let's kind of do the same thing we did with the NFC North. Division, you're taking Baltimore, I assume.
Yeah, I got Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Steelers.
For me, man, it's real hard. I think it's going to be between Cleveland and Baltimore, but I think Cincinnati could be in the mix. I think the Steelers are definitely fourth. I'm going to go Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
It's a little off the wall, but this division, I think the Bengals take a step forward. I think everybody else takes a slight step back. I think Pittsburgh takes a big step back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a lot more competitive than some of these odds. That being said, we got Pittsburgh plus 400. I don't want anything to do with on this division. Cleveland's plus 150. Baltimore's plus 115. I already put a unit on the Bengals, I think, back right after they took Chase at plus 2,500 or whatever it was, just because the value is stupid.
You should put a unit on them to win the Super Bowl every year.
Shit. They won't ever do that, even as long as I'm around. They'll end up still not doing it. I just like the value, plus 2,500 with what I think is going to be a really good offense. I think there's good value there. Mm-hmm. I do like the over. Then to make playoffs is plus 450. That's a good value pick.
I like the over wins.
Yeah, I like that too.
I got the Browns under wins.
Yep, I'm on that.
And I've got Lamar Jackson. I put this in too. Lamar Jackson over 3,200 passing yards for the year.
Add player props into today. I didn't even think about that. We'll have to get on some player props too. So definitely want to give those out. Anybody there you like for conference or no?
Ravens 800.
I could see that. Cleveland's plus 850. I don't see that. Baltimore, I think, is going to do or die with their defense. As long as their defense is good as it should be, they'll be right there. If they take a step back, Baltimore is going to struggle.
If their defense doesn't play better than it did, if their pass rush isn't better than it was last year, they don't have prayer.
Yep.
But I think I'm betting on it will be.
So rank the quarterbacks. I'll go ahead and go first. I'm gonna go with Burrow first, Lamar second, Mayfield, Ben. Ben's actually 10th in the division.
I've got Lamar, Burrow, Ben, Baker.
You got Ben over Baker?
Yeah.
Really?
They throw the ball a bazillion times a game versus the Browns never throwing the ball.
Right now,
I'm just going purely fantasy rankings.
That's a
I
shocking.
almost had the Steelers over ahead. I almost had Ben over Burrow just because he throws the ball 1,000 times a game.
Yeah, but he doesn't have an arm.
Doesn't matter.
Shot.
If you still throw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns on 70 passing attempts, still the same shit.
This is a fun running back division. So we got Mixon, Chubb, Dobbins, Harris. I would rank those Chubb, Mixon, Dobbins, Harris.
Oh, I've got Chubb, Dobbins, Harris, Mixon. So I'm rating it by the team. Yeah. I've got the Browns.
I mean, they're all RB1s. I mean, they're all going to starting running backs on your team.
And then, and what I wrote next to it is one's a first-round running back, one's a second-round running back, and the other two are both third-round running backs, Dobbins and
it might be the best. It might be the best running back division in the league, to be honest.
Oh, it is. Yeah. right?
Yeah, I would think that. I can't think off the top of my head anyone that would be better. Receivers. This would be a fun one. So give me your top 5 in the division.
The top 5 receivers in the division.
Yeah.
All right. So I did it by teams. So let me do it this way. For fantasy stats this year,
Yeah.
it's got to be Deontay Johnson 1, Odell Beckham 2, Hollywood Brown 3, Jamar Chase / T Higgins 4. But honestly, it could be Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster,
And you got to give
Odell Beckham.
Top 5. Top 5.
All right, top 5 receivers, fantasy receivers in the division.
Yep.
Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham, and T Higgins.
So your top 3 are all Pittsburgh?
Yep.
But you got them last in the division?
Yep.
All right. I am going to go.
They were number just because they're going to have a ton of this is fantasy stats we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fantasy points and production and all that have nothing to do with wins and losses.
No. Yeah, no.
Especially at the receiver position.
All right. I'm going to go Jamar Chase. I do like Deontay Johnson a lot. He would be 2. I guess I would go Claypool 3. I'm going to go Boyd 4. I just for some reason like.
You don't have Higgins ahead of Boyd?
I have Boyd ahead of Higgins. Yeah. It depends. If you're a PPR, I think
it's all close.
Standard. It's going to be. This whole division's stacked.
Well, yeah, and to prove our points, projection-wise, I've got Deontay Johnson going in the 5th, Claypool 6th, Juju 7th, and then you flip over to the Bengals, Chase in the 6th, Higgins in the 6th, Boyd in the 8th. So my point is all 3 of those on each side is a coin flip.
Yeah. So I'd have Jamar Chase, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Tyler Boyd, T Higgins. Not really in on any of the.
I like that. I like
Baltimore,
there.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Just
I think Odell's got to get in there, but I think you got to put Odell in ahead of one of those.
He plays the whole season. We'll see.
Yeah.
But even so, both those teams run the ball so much. The Bengals and the Steelers are going to be passing a lot more, so I'd rather have my wagon hitched to those guys.
What about the tight end?
Tight end, I think Mark Andrews is number 1, right? You can't go anywhere outside of that. You got him 1. Are you frozen? He's fucking frozen again. Tight end, I go Mark Andrews. I probably go Austin Hooper, Eric Ebron, and CJ Uzama, but I don't like Ebron. I don't like Uzama. Are you back?
I was going to say, I didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, yeah, you froze and just stopped, and I was just I think you got kicked out again. Andrews, Hooper, Ebron, Uzama.
Okay, yeah, I have it Ravens and then Ebron Freiermuth. So Andrews, Ebron Freiermuth combo, and then Hooper, and then whoever the fuck you guys are going to throw out there.
Who knows? You never know what's going to try here.
Tim Tebow.
What do we have running backs again?
I had Chubb, Dobbins, Harris, Mixon, but you can go Mixon, Harris, whatever you want to do.
That way we can maybe grade all this shit going out.
That way next year we can get made fun of.
Right. That's true.
I am so hungry.
All right, man. Same. I'm hopping off here. Good show. Which one do you want to do next week? You want to do your boys?
Yes.
All right, cool.
We'll do the AFC East and the NFC East.
AFC and NFC East.
Proud.
That was going to be
season
boring
ticket
as fuck
holders.
on the AFC.
The AFC East?
Man, it might not be too bad. We
Trade
got
Tua.
asking something real quick. Thoughts on Gus Edwards?
He's going to take 10 or so carries away from my boy.
Yeah, we were talking about him. You can rewind when we post this up, which should be automatically. But we both love J.K. Dobbins. Gus Edwards is going to kind of steal his spotlight a little bit, but I think J.K. Dobbins, when he has the ball in his hands, is a top 5 guy.
My kind of thoughts on each of those guys, I'll give praise both ways. J.K. Dobbins is going to end up being one of those running backs that this time next year, he's going to be drafted in the first round of people's fantasy drafts, all right? Just like we're kind of doing with Chubb and Cam Akers and those guys this year. They're way moved up. Dobbins is going to have a great year. The Ravens win the North, to answer that question.
Oh, man, you see his logo?
The Steelers, yeah, I'm sorry. Big step backwards. Deontay Johnson, probably the best route runner in the league, possibly behind Devontae Adams and Antonio Brown. But he's got to learn how to catch. But I just feel bad for the Steelers, but you know your offensive line stinks, and you know Big Ben's shot. So you're not going to – you know what that means. You know you're not going to be able to win with that. Right, no, seriously.
There we go. I love it.
It's not going to happen. The best defensive roster, but you win in the trenches in football, and without an offensive line, you're not going to win. And in this NFL, without throwing the ball downfield, you're not going to win. You can't do those two things.
31st in run blocking last year, and you're missing.
They can get after the quarterback. You got probably the best pass rusher in the league, one of them, in T.J. Watt. He probably should have won defensive player of the year last year.
Yeah,
could win it this year. But it's just, if we're being real, it comes down to your offensive line and Big Ben's arm. It's that simple. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do have a good roster, but I think just the lack of a ceiling for Roethlisberger at his age, coupled with the bad offensive line, they're going to struggle, and they're going to take a step back. Did we make that official play, the under, or no?
On the Steelers, no, just because the number is so goddamn low that they drop it all the way to 8.5, where it's like, all right, if I had to pick, I'm going under.
Kevin, how is your offensive line better than it was last year? It's not your offensive coordinator. He's not the one out there blocking, bud.
Yeah, but they lost Villanueva, didn't they?
Yeah, that's a big loss.
There's no more. Is Pouncey still there? He can't be. Didn't he retire?
I can't remember. I think he came back. Yeah, they got Zach Banner again. He's a rookie though, so I mean, Dotson starting. They wouldn't have brought Ben back if he was starting.
And you think you guys are gonna win with him starting?
Yeah, that's gonna be a rough year. Thankfully, I'm a Bengals fan, so I ain't got to worry about it. I think the Bengals finish ahead of the Steelers. So I think we both have Steelers last.
Pouncey retired.
Yeah. So you're missing Pouncey. You're missing Villanueva. They missed another guard. They did bring
Castro.
in.
They lost to Castro too.
Yeah, that's right. That's huge.
I think that was 2 years ago. They lost to Castro. No, that was last year. What do you think?
We need to do research. All right, so rewind when this post up to when we talked about the Steelers. We threw out about every stat you can look for.
And everything we just said about their line's true. They lost to Villanueva. They lost to Castro. Pouncey retired. I mean, I just looked it up to make sure it was right, and it was.
That was already their the 31st worst run blocking team in the National Football League. So you got to run the football. Ben can't throw it down the field. It's going to be a fun year for me.
I appreciate the passion, though. I appreciate the passion, but I don't know. I'm not afraid to admit that the Eagles stink. The Steelers are going to stink, dude. I'm sorry.
All right, man. We look forward to seeing you back on here. Hopefully, when you come back on here, make sure you post that division championship ticket. It's plus 400 right now. So you better come back in here. You got to say it with your chest, man.
Kevin, you don't have to wait until then. I'll be honest. You are literally more than welcome to talk shit to me every single time that they have a first down. I don't give a shit. Anytime that Ben looks serviceable, throws the ball over 20 yards. I don't give a shit. You are more than welcome to talk shit to me because I will deserve it because I think that they're going to stink. So if I'm wrong week to week, it's such a week-to-week league. You're more than welcome. Reach out, talk shit. Just be realistic about it. That's all.
Yeah, that's the fun part, right?
Right.
So, all right, man. I'm hopping out of here. So we
What's
doing
up?
one Wednesday for the British Open.
Yep. I
All right,
appreciate
cool.
it, man. We'll talk.
All right, brother. See you guys later. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Tune in. Yeah.